everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. This is your Corvette buddy Lyle, here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Today we're going to talk about kind of the child in the Corvette family that's not getting a lot of attention right now, and what may happen to it in the future. And now let's talk about the E-Ray market, shall we? Guys, we did it. We made it to 70,000 subscribers. Now, I know when you look at people like Mr. Beast or Doug DeMuro who have millions of subscribers, that doesn't seem like a lot. But when you look at our tiny, tiny cross-section in the market and how specialized we are, 70,000 is huge. Now, you guys have really stepped up and you've been spreading the word about the channel. And my goal, as I've stated in previous videos, is I want to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is one of my personal for Lyle goals. And if you appreciate what we do, if you find what we do useful, or you even find it mildly entertaining, pass it along to your friends, pass it along to your other Corvette Club members, whatever, and make sure that they are actually hitting the subscribe button. As I've said before, we're never going to try to bombard you with emails. We're never going to send you a bunch of sales stuff. The only time you're going to see us is when you come to actually visit us on YouTube. We're not going to bother you, but hitting that subscribe button costs you nothing and helps us immeasurably. So thank you so much for your support to get us so far. And if you can help me get just a little bit farther, together we can achieve this fantastic goal. And I very much appreciate your support. Thank you. So the other day, as I often do, I'm on Car Gurus scrolling through C8 Corvettes to see what they're bringing brand new, in what parts of the country, and at what trim level. And of course, you know, we just talked recently in another video about how you can buy a 1LT Coupe 2025 Corvette for about $63,000 or $64,000 right now, which is an amazing value. So I thought, Lyle, what are the E-Ray and the Z06 doing? So I really spent some time going around the country online, of course, to look and see what E-Rays were doing. And well, it was a little bit surprising to me. So before we get to that, let's talk about the E-Ray as a whole. Now, in 2024, E-Ray Coupe and Convertible together combined only accounted for about 3.3% of Corvette sales. In 2024, there were 599 coupes made and 818 convertibles. And that was it. So it's not a big seller, at least in 2024 it wasn't. The starting price on the E-Ray for 2025 is $108,595, and for the convertible, it's $115,595. Of course, you know, I'm not going to go into all the details about the E-Ray. Those of you who watch our channel and those of you who are fans of Corvette already know that it is all-wheel drive with a 160-horse electric motor up front that is charged by the engine and by regenerative braking, and the battery is located in the tunnel where the transmission would have been. So it's a really cool setup, and of course we're going to see that setup again here in the near future in the ZR1. The E-Ray, the whole point of this car was that it was going to offer all season, or at least 3-season use, you know, where you wouldn't have to put your car away the first time it got a little slick outside. The E-Ray was made to be the Grand Tour, the softer, more luxurious, more drive from Miami to LA than go around the drag strip or go around the road course. Although it is more than capable at both locations. In fact, the E-Ray is a 10th quicker in the quarter mile, 10.5 seconds versus the C8 Z06's 10.6. It's also a 10th quicker to 0 to 60. Again, certainly helped by the increased traction that the all-wheel drive gives us. The ride on the E-Ray is tuned for grand touring. Now, that doesn't mean it's not track capable. It certainly is, but this is a car that was made for long-term comfort and, you know, like what we would call a continent crusher. Something that you get in and drive 500 miles a day and get out of the car and not feel completely exhausted and beat to death. You also have the ability to use stealth mode, which allows you to drive 3 or 4 miles on battery power only, up to about 45 miles an hour, which really, if you live in a nice neighborhood and you're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to a car show on a Saturday or a Sunday, it's nice just to put it in stealth mode and just creep out of your neighborhood and not wake up all your neighbors. Pretty neat to be able to do that. Here's the interesting thing about the E-Ray though. You can buy them at a pretty deep discount. In fact, I found this one on Car Guru's brand new 2025 E-Ray, again, a base 1LZ, for $98,000 and change. So there is definitely, just like we're seeing the base Stingrays selling it under MSRP, E-Rays are available under MSRP just about everywhere. So if you were looking for an Audi R8 style Grand Tourer, of course the R8 is no longer being produced, the E-Ray would be a really interesting substitute for that in many ways. I think that the E-Ray is underappreciated because it isn't the raucous, roaring Z06 and it's not the 1,064 horsepower ZR1, but it is probably the most comfortable, most usable C8. My big question is, and this is kind of a question for you guys to answer, do you think that the ZR1 rollout, which we know those cars are going to be selling for well over $200,000 and for at least the foreseeable future, probably well above that, it's basically a higher horsepower, higher downforce version of the E-Ray. So will the E-Ray perhaps become more popular or at least get more recognition for what it is once the ZR1 is rolled out and people are like, wow, this is like, 80%, 70% of a ZR1 for about a third of the price. It might end up being the bargain of the century in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't know how it's going to continue when they move into the C9 in about 2 or 3 years, but I think the E-Ray is underappreciated. And if you are in the market for a C8 Z06 and you aren't planning on taking it to the track, you're just buying it because you love the sound, you love the look, you love the feel, honestly, I would drive both. Take the E-Ray out and drive it. Drive it back to back with the Z06 and see what your thoughts are. You may find if your dream is to go road tripping in a C8 with your loved one or with your kid or whatever, the E-Ray might be a better choice. And if you guys out there have driven both, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were. Anyway, I think the E-Ray is a bargain right now. And if you have $100,000 laying around and want something that's comfortable and fast and not the car that everybody else has, maybe the E-Ray is for you. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.